Alright, so hands down, this is my favorite build right now in the game as a hunter main. And mostly I use this for solo content, and of course the highlight of this is Gifted Conviction. Activating Ascension or Tempest Strike throws a bouncing explosive at nearby targets that jolt them and damage them. Jolting nearby targets grants you damage resist. And it's just so good. Ascension got beefed up. It works with certain armor mods now, as well as Gambler's Dodge and Marksman's Dodge. So you can use it in a variety of builds, and it performs very well because Amplified also got a change recently where it kind of works how the Manticore Exotic does. Ads and bosses don't really see you as well, at least, well, they still see you, but they have a harder time hitting you, and it gives you some damage resist as well, on top of the damage resist you're getting from Gifted Conviction. It's just such a solid build. It makes hunters way more tanky, and you can see I have 46 health with this build. Not that you really ever need to build into health, but with this build especially, you can ignore it for the most part, and you do want to build into your grenade and melee as best as you can. As you can see, with this setup I currently have, I'm not 100% into these the way I could be, or should be, but it's good enough, and certainly once they fix the class stat, which I think they're aiming to fix that in Ash and Iron, you will probably want to build into the class stat as well. So that would be the 3 stats I would recommend building into once they patch the class stat, which is still working on the old system increments of 10 or whatever. So just ignore your class and your health for the most part, and everything else you can build into whatever you want aside from melee and grenade, but that is what you're going to want to build into. And the reason I find this build so fun is using grapple and combination blow. It's almost like a combo in a fighting game, and I'm not a fighting game connoisseur, but basically what you do is you build up your combination blow stacks, right? And you're using your combination blow, and then you're getting your class ability back, which allows you to pop your Ascension, spawn a Threaded Spectre in the air to give you some crowd control. You're also going to get amplified from that. You're going to get the damage resist from Gifted Conviction's exotic trait. And then, you can use your grapple melee once you get your combination blow stacks up to 3, and you're going to do a crap ton of damage. Of course, you can build into that by having a 1-2 punch weapon like this shotgun hand cannon. You could also use an actual shotgun if you wanted to do that instead. And of course Tractor, which I don't have on me, that will also buff your damage as well. But in the gameplay you'll see you don't really need it, which is crazy because of how powerful Shield Crush is right now. And we'll get to how you're going to have Woven Frost Armor or Void Overshield with this build in a little bit. And as well, I mean, you're always going to have Amplified and or Radiant active with this build as well, and Shield Crush is just great. If you're watching this outside of Season of Reclamation, you don't need Facet of Purpose on, because you won't have Shield Crush, at least in theory. You won't have Shield Crush unless they decide to bring it back for next season. So don't quote me on that. I have Facet of Sacrifice on here for the extra grenade stat. Not necessary in any way, shape, or form, so feel free to swap this one out for yourself. Facet of Hope is somewhat necessary, but not entirely, because you do have combination blow on here, so if something else slots in nicely for you, feel free to switch this out as well. But if your class stat is a little bit lower, like mine is with this build, you might want it to try and bridge that gap between what combination blow gives you back and, what remaining class ability you need to get to be able to pop Ascension again. Facet of Dawn for that Radiant, that extra damage. It does drain a bit from your melee stat, but it is worth having on. And then Facet of Protection just to build into some more damage resist. Again, it might be a little overkill, so Facet of Courage could be something else to build into if you can apply a Darkness debuff to get a little extra damage. But honestly, this build is just so good. It almost doesn't matter what fragments you have on, but obviously you do want to build into it as much as you can. And if you're worrying about, what artifact mods I should have on for this, for the most part, just make sure you have Shield Crush on. Tightly Woven if you, in fact, are using Woven Mail instead. This probably works best with a Certarachne setup, but if you decide to use Silk Strike with Facet of Purpose for this build instead, then this would, incorporate itself into that as well. If you don't have Silk Strike or Prismatic or whatever, and you want to use straight up Arc for this, and you're looking for a way to boost your grenade stat if you don't have a lot, look for the Blast Distributor perk, which I have here on Returned Memory. That's going to give you some improved grenade stat. I think it goes up to 50-something stat bonus if you get Blast Distributor up to 5 stacks. I'm not exactly sure on that. And then if you need to buff your melee, we also have on this shotgun hand cannon Proximity Power, which also drops on Habchar, I believe. The Solar Auto from this season. I don't know if it drops on anything else, but there is that as well. And armor mods, here they are. I mean, there's a couple places you want to build into certain things. Hands-on is going to be a pretty solid place to start with your helmet, because you are going to be getting a ton of melee kills. And I mostly use the Rocket Pulse with this build, so that's why I have this on, and usually either the Shotgun Hand Cannon from Arms Week or the Solar SMG from Solstice, Yeartide Apex, and this is just on because I don't really have anything else to throw on, so, you know, if you have a tier 5 helmet, you can probably fit something else there. And then double impact induction if you can. It's just super nice for getting your grenade back, again, especially if you aren't getting it fast enough based on your grenade stat. And then heavy-handed is also very nice to get orbs for Frost Armor or Woven Mail or whatever you end up running with this build. Of course, your chestplate mods are always going to depend on what you're running. You could throw on Charge It Up if you're throwing on some surges or whatever, but I just have double recoup to build into the tankiness as well as just extreme survivability, because this thing does a ton of damage already, and I don't really have a problem getting my stuff back. Also, 2 recoups are the way to go. It gives you a ton of health back, and it feels really nice. And then Absolution here, just to help with ability as well, ability cooldowns and whatnot. And then Reaper, because I'm going to be using my class ability a crap ton. That's just another way to make orbs. And Powerful Attraction, because we're going to be using our class ability a ton as well. And that's pretty much it. I love this build for anything that isn't DPS setups, because it's just so fun. I love Ascension, and it truly is a good time. And you can straight up just use your grapple melee and Ascension the entire time you're using this build. You don't need your Transcendence, you don't need your super, and you don't need the heavy ammo that you're gonna have. So honestly, throw on Eager Edge, whatever. It doesn't really matter. I know we have the Eager Edge sword coming with, I believe it is Heavy Metal that's gonna have this sword, which is really weird. They're not doing an Arms Week for that, but I guess they have to give people a reason to play Heavy Metal if you've already played it, or haven't even played it, to get a featured Eager Edge sword. But anyway, that's it for the build. I'll let the gameplay finish out the rest of the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.